Welcome to the Eat This Book podcast. I'm Michael Whitworth. Each day we take a small piece of scripture and we sit with it. Not a quick snack that disappears before lunch, not a chore you check off of a list, but rather a meal meant to be savored. So pull up a chair. Let's eat. In a culture obsessed with origins, some figures appear from nowhere and refuse to be placed. Think of the stranger who walks into the Old Western. No name, no past, no explanation. He does what no one else can do, and then he's gone, and the town spends the rest of its days wondering who he was. The mystery is the point. His power doesn't come from where he came from, because no one knows where he came from. He simply is what he is, and his authority needs no family tree to explain it. In the book of Genesis, a figure like that walks onto the page for exactly 3 verses and then vanishes. His name is Melchizedek. The writer of Hebrews has been promising to talk about him since chapter 5. And now, finally, the moment arrives, and what the writer sees in this mysterious priest king reshapes everything. For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him, and to him Abraham apportioned a 10th part of everything. The story is buried in Genesis 14. Abraham has just won a desperate battle, rescuing his nephew Lot from a coalition of kings. On his way home, a man appears, Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God. He brings out bread and wine. He blesses Abraham. And Abraham, the great patriarch, the father of the faithful, does something remarkable. He gives this stranger a 10th of all the spoils. Then Melchizedek exits the story as suddenly as he entered. 3 verses, no introduction, no conclusion. He's simply there, and then he's not. The writer of Hebrews looks at this brief, strange encounter and begins to unfold its meaning. First, the name. Melchizedek means king of righteousness, and he was king of Salem, and Salem means peace. So here is a king of righteousness who is also a king of peace. Righteousness and peace united in one person. The writer is already pointing past Melchizedek to someone else, someone in whom righteousness and peace would finally meet for good. Then the writer makes an observation that has puzzled and fascinated readers for 2,000 years. He is without father or mother or genealogy, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but resembling the Son of God, he continues a priest forever. This is not a claim that Melchizedek was an angel or a pre-incarnate appearance of Christ or some immortal being. The writer is reading Genesis the way a careful reader reads, paying attention not just to what the text says, but to what it doesn't say. And in a book obsessed with genealogy, a book that tells you who fathered whom for chapter after chapter, Melchizedek appears with no recorded father, no recorded mother, no listed ancestry, no birth, no death. The genealogical machinery of Genesis simply stops for him. He has no pedigree on the page. For Israel's priesthood, this would have been unthinkable. A priest's entire legitimacy depended on his genealogy. You had to prove your descent from Aaron. If you couldn't document your lineage, you couldn't serve. The priesthood was a matter of bloodline, birth records, family trees carefully preserved. And here is Melchizedek, a genuine priest of the Most High God, with no genealogy at all. His priesthood doesn't rest on ancestry, it rests on something else entirely. And in that silence, the writer sees a portrait. Melchizedek resembles the Son of God. He's not the Son, he resembles him. The absence of a recorded beginning and end makes him a literary picture of a priest whose priesthood has no beginning and no end, a priest forever, the very thing the writer has been claiming about Jesus since chapter 5. Now the writer drives toward his main point, and it's an argument about greatness. See how great this man was to whom Abraham the patriarch gave a 10th of the spoils. The whole argument hinges on 2 actions from Genesis 14. Melchizedek blessed Abraham, and Abraham gave Melchizedek a 10th. And in the ancient world, both actions established rank. The writer spells it out. It is beyond dispute that the inferior is blessed by the superior. The one who gives the blessing is greater than the one who receives it. and the one who receives the tithe is greater than the one who pays it. By both measures, Melchizedek stands above Abraham. Sit with how startling that is. Abraham is the patriarch, the father of the nation, the man to whom the promises were given, the one whose faith the whole story celebrates, and he bows. He receives a blessing from Melchizedek, acknowledging the priest's superior standing. He pays a tithe to Melchizedek, acknowledging the priest's superior rank. The greatest figure in Israel's history defers to this priest who appears from nowhere. And then the writer makes the move the whole passage was building toward. One might even say that Levi himself, who received tithes, paid tithes through Abraham, for he was still in the loins of his ancestor when Melchizedek met him. This is the masterstroke. Levi, the tribe from which all of Israel's priests would descend, the tribe of Aaron, the tribe that would one day collect tithes from all the other tribes, Levi was not yet born when this happened. He was Abraham's great-grandson, still generations away, but in the ancient way of thinking, descendants are present in their ancestor. So when Abraham paid the tithe to Melchizedek, the writer argues, Levi paid it too, through Abraham while still unborn. The implication is staggering. The Levitical priesthood, the entire system Israel had trusted for over 1,000 years, paid homage to Melchizedek before it even existed. The priesthood that collected tithes had, in its ancestor, paid a tithe. The priesthood that blessed the people had, in its ancestor, been blessed. Levi bowed to Melchizedek before Levi drew his first breath. And if Melchizedek's priesthood is greater than Levi's, and if Jesus is a priest after the order of Melchizedek, then the conclusion writes itself. The priesthood of Jesus is not a lesser branch of the old system. It is a greater order entirely, one that the old system itself acknowledged as superior at the very dawn of its existence. Here's what I think we should savor from this passage. First, some authority doesn't come from pedigree. Melchizedek had no genealogy, no documented ancestry, no credentials of birth, and he was a true priest of the Most High God, great enough that Abraham bowed. The writer is dismantling the assumption that legitimacy must come from the right bloodline, the right paperwork, the right inherited position. There is an authority that rests on who someone is, not on where they came from. Second, righteousness and peace can meet. King of righteousness, king of peace. In Melchizedek, the writer sees the two held together, and he's pointing forward to the one in whom they would be permanently joined. We tend to feel these as opposite. Righteousness demands, peace soothes. Righteousness confronts, peace comforts. But in the true priest, they are one. He is righteous and he brings peace, and neither cancels the other. The old bowed to the greater before it began. The Levitical priesthood paid homage to Melchizedek's order while still unborn. The system Israel trusted was never the final word. It acknowledged something greater at its very root. Whatever you've been tempted to treat as ultimate may itself be pointing beyond itself to something higher. If your sense of worth is tied to your pedigree, your family name, your credentials, your resume, the documented proof of where you came from, Melchizedek's priesthood says authority and value don't finally rest on lineage. The most significant priest in this passage had no recorded ancestry at all. What you are before God is not determined by the family tree behind you. It's determined by the one you belong to now. If you felt disqualified because of your background, the wrong family, the wrong history, a past that feels like it bars you from significance, this passage quietly subverts the tyranny of origins. The priesthood that mattered most didn't come from the approved bloodline. It came from somewhere the records couldn't capture. Your beginning does not determine your standing. If you've been clinging to an old system that feels safe, a familiar structure, a way of relating to God that you've trusted for years but that has started to feel like it's pointing beyond itself, the writer says even the Levitical priesthood bowed to something greater at its root. It's not a betrayal to follow where the shadow points. The old was always meant to lead to the greater. If you feel caught between righteousness and peace, between a God who seems to demand and a longing to simply rest, Melchizedek holds both. King of righteousness and king of peace in one person. You don't have to choose between a holy God and a peaceful one. In the true priest, the one who fulfills this ancient picture, righteousness and peace meet and embrace. the demand is satisfied so that the peace can be real. And if the figure of Melchizedek feels strange and remote, a curiosity from an ancient text with no bearing on your life, remember why the writer brought him up. He's not interested in Melchizedek for his own sake. He's interested in what Melchizedek reveals about Jesus, a priest forever, whose authority needs no pedigree, in whom righteousness and peace are finally won. The mystery exists to point you to the priest you actually have. Next time on Eat This Book, what if the Old Covenant was failing, not just because people kept breaking it, but also because it was never meant to be the final answer? Join me again in Hebrews 7 as we discover why God introduced a better hope, a priest with an indestructible life, and a way to truly draw near to Him. Thanks for eating with me. Until next time, may the Word dwell in you richly.